Hi everyone, it's Corey Jones with Remax Sarnia Realty, HomeTeamAdvantage.ca, and proud sponsor of LoveSarniaLampton.ca. I'm here with David Blake from BeachSide Interiors. Dave,
Hello.
thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah. Just well, I personally know Dave well. He's done lots of jobs for clients of ours, and I always see on a lot of the social media posts people looking for painters specifically. And I thought, you know what, this is a good opportunity to have you guys get to know Dave a little bit, hear about his business, and hopefully be able to put a face to the name when you see people making recommendations. Dave does get recommended quite often. You see the business come up often. So, Dave, how long have you been operating as BeachSide Interiors?
We started in 2016.
Okay.
So it was kind of a direction we went. We've been doing it for many years before, but officially 2016 was our launch, and we've been loving it ever since and growing and growing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Staying very busy.
Staying very busy.
Yeah.
And,
Which is good.
Working in Sarnia, I've been here basically since I was 5. So
Okay.
I know the area well, and the funny thing is I actually grew up in Sherwood Village, and when we moved there when I was 5, it was still under construction, so it was just empty roads and forest, and that was my playground.
Interesting.
So I know the area quite well.
I actually lived in Sherwood Village around probably the same time, until I was 4, I think. So until I was 4. So that's funny. It was very new. Still had the field between York Crescent and the arena, and we used to toboggan there.
Absolutely.
A lot of people watching this don't actually remember that. I remember that. So, but that was a big toboggan hill back then, kind of like Centennial is now. So my question was, I was going to ask if you always lived in Sarnia, but you didn't. You said you've been since you were 5. So where did you live before?
Before that, born in Sombra.
Okay.
So
same there.
My dad ended up getting a job in Chemical Valley, so we ended up moving here, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, as a painter, do you have a specialty? I know that you do a little bit of everything, but what do you?
Well, my main specialty that I really enjoy doing is cabinetry.
Okay.
I love getting an older kitchen, especially the honey oak that was very popular back in the 90s and such. And it's getting out of date, and it's a great way of bringing life back to those cabinets. There's nothing wrong with them. They're solid wood,
right?
And there's quality there, and I enjoy seeing that transformation. It's amazing to see it go from honey oak to the modern colors and modern schemes that are out right now. It's wonderful. For sure. Now, I saw a post that you made either today or yesterday, maybe, about how refinishing the cabinet, you can actually bring it back, or you can make it the finish can actually seem like it's factory finish. So how long does a process like that normally take? Well, the whole job, of course, varies a little bit on the kitchen, but on average, it's 5 to 6 days for a full turnaround. And we're using commercial grade paint. So commercial grade paint compared to what you'd buy at one of the local hardware stores, it's designed for kitchens. It's resistant to water. It's resistant to chemicals. You can clean it. It's very, very mar resistant. So you're not going to really easily scratch it. It's designed for the life of the kitchen. Awesome. And the finish that's left behind it looks just like it came from the factory
itself. It came like that.
Nice.
Wow. So these solid wood cabinets that, like you say, that aren't necessarily in style now, you can bring them up to.
You can bring those back, and there's a few variations like oak. You can leave it where you can still see the grain. A lot of people do like the grain of the wood itself. You can still see that, or you can go a step further and smooth it right out and make it look like a nice smooth panel.
And is there one that you do more than the other? Is there one that people
really? I do both. I do standard cabinetry that are even put into homes now.
Okay.
MDF kind of cabinetry. We do those. Popular thing, of course, if you have an island, is having those accent colors in the island, or even a simple bathroom cabinet that's outdated. Change the color with that, and it's all done.
Wow. So you see people may redo the cabinets with you, and then just maybe change the countertop out, and they've essentially got a brand new kitchen, and probably a really significant amount less.
And that's what I was going to mention. When you're looking at replacing your cabinets, it could be anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 to change out your cabinet, and then you have the construction of the rip out of everything. Yeah. This is done in 5 to 6 days, and it's a fraction of the price.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, do you do those type of jobs in the person's home, or do you take the cabinets, remove the cabinets to your workshop?
There's a bit of both. Okay. So what we normally do is the actual doors and drawer fronts and such will come back to my shop, and they're painted there. Okay. And then the actual boxes that are left over are sprayed in the customer's house. Okay. And that's all taken care of that way.
Awesome. That's awesome. Excellent. I saw that. Was it today you posted it?
I posted one today.
You posted today. Okay. Dave, he's definitely very active on social media, so you probably see BeachSide all over the place, and which is good for good reason. Yes. So what did you do before you were painting?
Well, before that, I was in automotive management for many, many years.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of age myself. It was probably close to 30 years doing that kind of stuff at various different places. And really what I learned from all of those years is project management, time management, and a lot of patience.
Yes. Yeah.
All those are applied to what I do today.
Yeah.
And it allows you to schedule things through and make sure, the customer, when they call me, it's a privilege of when they're calling me, and I take their time very, very seriously.
Awesome.
So if I say the job's gonna be done in 5 days or 3 days, then I make sure it's done in those timelines.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So you do exterior painting too. So obviously sometimes weather situations, things like that will back you up.
For sure.
And so I imagine that your years in the automotive industry probably allows you to kind of take a couple deep breaths and just handle that and reschedule things accordingly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Do you find there's a lot of juggling when it comes to?
It's not usually too bad. Usually when I'm doing an exterior job, I do build in basically a day of fluff, basically is what I call it, where you have that little
Okay.
area where if something happens, it's you have a little cushion to go through. But it has happened, and I've been lucky. My clients to date have been absolutely amazing, and I only had one time where I actually had to push the next job by 2 days because of weather scenarios.
Okay.
And really, the other nice advantage too is the type of paints that you can use. There's a paint that I use called Latitude, and this is by Sherwin-Williams, and it allows you to spray your house, and as long as there's not rain within an hour, you're good.
Really?
So it gives you a little bit of security if there is weather that's coming, you can still paint.
Awesome.
Within reason.
That's excellent. And what about temperature-wise, like for exterior painting? Is it?
Well, you can still. It's around the temperatures we're experiencing right now, where we're just kind of hovering around the zero and then we're going back up. You can still get away with it.
Okay.
Actually, I just did a job last Friday, and obviously last Friday here in Sarnia
It was
was beautiful.
Yeah,
It was a lucky day.
Yeah.
I don't usually try and push it too far. I wouldn't normally would be looking at scheduling in November or further.
Okay.
But usually around these temperatures you're at right now, you can still get away with it.
Gotcha. There's no
Yeah.
problem with the paint adhering to the surface at
No.
this temperature, but
No,
as it drops, it's
you don't. It can still freeze. I use all I really use is latex acrylic, so I don't play with the oil based stuff. So you're still looking at possibilities of freezing and such. So I usually cut it off as no later than what we're at right now.
excellent. And just kind of book your interior jobs
Book
for
interior,
for the winter. And
Exactly.
and do I remember? Or did I hear a story? Did you actually did a painting job in Florida last year or the year before? Or,
Yeah. We had a friend of the family, and they needed some stuff done, so we went down there and just helped them out. And
That's rough.
Yeah,
That's rough.
it was a rough thing.
Yeah, you're doing a good job when your services are being called to Florida. So
It was a rough thing.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, what would you say as a painter would be the absolute strongest quality to have? Like what kind of sets you apart from?
Well, I think really, again, this is like coming back from my past, is just customer care.
Yeah.
Follow up and listening to the customer and what they're looking for. I think that's very important. And like I say, it's this is their home. This is their time. It's I go into their home to paint, and it's disrupting their normal life
Sure.
that they have set up, right?
Yeah.
And I've got rooms taken apart or what have you, and you have someone in your home.
Yeah.
So I take that very serious.
Yeah.
And going from just the initial meet where we do an estimate to doing the job itself.
Yeah.
And we want to leave it better than we found it, and make sure that we've exceeded whatever their expectations were. And
Awesome.
it's just really the customer is the key.
It is. It's a stressful time, even though often having your home updated is exciting in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's disruptive. For instance, like even tomorrow, we've got a plumber coming,
Yeah.
and I've got to put the dogs in the kennel
Yeah,
because
the animals,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Otherwise, they'll eat them, and that's frowned upon, right? So or they could, and so we have to put after then. And then the problem is, of course, if something happens, which it did a few weeks ago, the whole staff got sick. They
Yeah.
didn't show up. So
Yeah.
it's tough, and customer service is so key. And I think that in any industry, I think it's something that I've noticed has kind of been lacking in recent years. I feel a lot of times people unfortunately think that you don't really have a choice. You're gonna deal with me. So
Well, yeah.
so and that's not the case. There are
That's
people
not
have
the
options,
case.
right?
And here's the thing: is that I've grown up here, and I live here, and I work here, and I want to make sure that my business has a good name within the community that I've
Absolutely.
lived.
Yeah.
And you gotta just take care of people properly.
For sure,
And
for
that's
sure.
it.
You had mentioned about from the time you come in to do the estimate to the time you do the job, and that's something I wanted to touch on as well.
Mhm.
is, the difference between yourself and maybe some of the larger companies might be that, a lot of times somebody might come out and do an estimate and then somebody entirely different doing the job.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you doing all your own estimating?
I do all my own estimating and all the painting. So you see me come in your door, I'm going to do the estimate, I'm going to listen to what you're looking for, I know what the situation is as far as any minor repairs, and I'm the one that's going to do the job.
Awesome.
And it's some of the bigger companies, they're not, they do amazing work as well.
Sure.
But a lot of times it's nice to know the person you've met is the person that's going to come into your home, because
For sure.
I've had many situations, of course, where the customer has to go to work, so I'm in their home painting, and there's a lot of trust that goes along with that. So
Absolutely.
it's important, I think, in my case, that one face is the face of the business.
Absolutely, and you're trustworthy, and
you know who to go back to if there's anything.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because you had actually done a job for a client of ours who wasn't even living in the country yet, and
Yes.
just in getting to know you and having
Yes.
conversation with you,
Yeah.
they trusted you enough to
Absolutely.
come and paint while they were still
Yeah.
living in the States. So
I met her on FaceTime.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that was it.
Yeah, that's huge, and and I think it's important too. And it's when somebody when the owner cares enough to kind of take it from start to finish, it goes a long way as far as I'm
absolutely.
concerned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what areas do you service? I mean, you're in Sarnia, obviously, but how far will you travel?
Basically, Sarnia Lambton. I'll go. Basically, I'm working in Petrolia right now. Wyoming, of course, Branch Grove,
Florida.
Edward, Florida. But yeah,
Anywhere Sarnia Lambton.
Anywhere Sarnia Lambton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, obviously, painting's not the same as every other job. So do you try to stick with kind of a 9 to 5, or are you?
I try to, but of course, again, the customer schedule is important, or the customer's deadlines are important. So I've had times where I've worked, 7 to 10 days straight to make sure the job is done for the client's timeline. But typically, yes, I do try to do an 8:30 to 5.
Yep.
Try to keep weekends off. It's important to have your own personal time with your family.
For sure.
And
For sure.
I try to balance that out, but there's,
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have an amazing wife, and when I do have to work a weekend or do have to work extended hours, she understands.
She understands, yeah. When she doesn't have a project for you to do herself, probably, right?
So keeps you busy enough too.
Exactly, absolutely. So now, do you do any commercial painting or all residential?
Mainly residential. I do commercial. I don't do a whole lot of it.
Okay.
But when I do offer. Obviously this is a person's business,
Right.
and having a painter in there during their operating hours isn't always really prime. So I do offer doing on the weekends when they're closed, or after hours, or even sometimes if it needed to be an all-night job, then that's what would happen.
Wow. Okay.
So you just got, again, it depends on what your client needs, and that's what I try to focus on.
Okay. So you do have the odd commercial job, but primarily
Primarily
residential.
is residential repainting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is there any job that you've done that's kind of the favorite one you've ever done?
Well, it's hard to really say. My favorite, of course, are where I have a house where I do the complete house. So I'm talking the trim, the ceiling, the walls, the whole house, and just seeing that transition from what it was to what the customers wants were.
Yeah.
And I've had some saying, hey Dave, you've made this our home.
Right.
And that kind of sticks with you. But one that would really stand out is I did some painting for a young lady who, unfortunately, one of her parents had passed away, and she had some inheritance come in, and she was finally able to afford to get a condo.
Okay.
So she bought a condo here in Sarnia, and she gave me the colors that she wanted and said, paint it completely, and call me when it's done. She wanted to be surprised.
Okay.
So this ended up being a complete, sand the walls, and it was full paint, ceiling, and trim, and paint her kitchen cabinets, and to hand it back to her was the most rewarding thing ever. And she, just to see her expression of how it turned out. This was her home that she finally was able to have, and it was so important because it came from her parents.
Absolutely.
So it was an amazing one. That one's always stuck with me.
For sure. Now, so you were there when she saw it for the first
absolutely.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a bit like a TV show.
When
they roll the truck away, roll the screen away for the big reveal.
And just the trust that that someone would put into you with that kind of scenario, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So that really has stuck with me, and I want to always exceed their expectations, but that was a special one.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I saw that you did an entire cottage in Brights Grove this year too, interior, exterior, everything, the bunkie, the whole bit, and that was just a spectacular.
It was quite a transformation on that one.
Absolutely, yeah. I love seeing when you post, and I was gonna ask you that, but I know because of following you on social media, you always post the before and afters,
Yes.
which I love. Some people don't do that. They don't think about it until after, and they post the after. It's like, oh, that looks great, but they don't necessarily see what it started out as.
It's nice to see where it came from, and that's my favorite thing is when I can bring it from the rough diamond into the shiny diamond. And that's
yeah, for sure.
And that's what the key thing is. And again, when I have that opportunity to do a whole house, it's just really nice.
That's great. Yeah. So let me ask, when it comes to color selection, things like that, do people often rely on your expertise kind of as to what would, or do they usually come?
They do. And of course I will ask, what kind of colors you're leaning towards.
Right.
And then, I have a whole bunch of color charts I can come down with and go over and I can get any color from any manufacturer matched for whatever they're looking for. So that's not ever a limitation. It's just finding the right color. It's very difficult.
Sure.
You go to a paint store and you get a little inch by inch little cube, and you're going to try and choose what it's going to look like. Yeah. So a lot of times I will recommend what is the popular colors right now and kind of go that way.
Yeah, every once in a while somebody shocks you with something unique and
There's
something
that.
and you think, okay, well, that's your choice, it's your thing, I'm going to paint it that way, and you know what, if that's what they want, that's important.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So let me ask, working with different contractors and different specialties,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you hear horror stories, right?
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, we've all experienced them. I shared with you just before we started the video that we had a bad decking and fence experience.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we've had two bad fence experiences, if we're being honest, but one was really bad. Why do you think it's so hard to find a good contractor? Do you think?
I don't know. It's unfortunately, you always hear about the bad ones. It's the ones that are always putting the daily grind in that are the quiet ones and keep on going.
Right.
You don't hear about that, but I don't know. I think a lot of people have the impression that it's necessarily a simple thing to get into. That you do need obviously knowledge and skill level and an ability to actually manage things to go through.
For sure.
And that's a tough area for everyone just to try and do.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing too. Is that even schools and governments are just now recognizing to get people going back towards the trades.
Right. Yeah.
There's such a shortage in trades. I remember it was probably a couple of years ago now. I had someone ask me, is this your full-time job? And I said, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
And I was actually taken aback by that comment, and I actually just kind of thought about it. Actually ended up being a couple of months just thinking about it. And I ended up doing a post about that, the importance of trades and how trades were looked down on in the past.
Right.
And it's important to actually get people back into that area because you can make a good living. It's a healthy living. You're doing a nice service for people.
Absolutely, and it's a real skill.
It's a skill.
I can't paint at all, so I can't even imagine doing what you do. It's
it's a passion I've always had, and I've always done renovation kind of stuff and painting, and painting is what I enjoy.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of came from my parents. They were always doing something.
Yeah.
My dad was kind of I'll fix it kind of
guy,
and my mom liked changing paint colors in the house, so
there you go.
Quite often, so I was always exposed to it.
There you go. So they put a paintbrush in your hand and told you it was a fun way to spend the afternoon. That's right. Here, give this a try, Dave. You're gonna love it. There, exactly. And it's true when you talk about how trades were most trades were something that was kind of looked at as kind of a fallback. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do this. Yeah. And you talk about the automotive industry. I mean, you think of how many people who are in the industry who really don't have a desire to do it. They couldn't think of something else to do.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, it's a need, and it's something
it's a very big need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very big need.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure. Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're doing it because, like I say, we've had several clients use you, and we have never ever heard a negative thing from like you say, the estimating to the quality of the work. Well, everything. That. Communication is just second to none, and you've done jobs for us personally too, and so and it's appreciated. So, so besides working, which we know you do a lot of, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, actually, me and my wife, we are boat fanatics, basically.
Okay.
We have a nice boat, and we go at the Sarnia Bay, and we enjoy that, and go out into our wonderful land of water we have here, the river and the lake, and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny how when I was thinking of the name for BeachSide Interiors, I was thinking, okay, it has to relate somehow to Sarnia.
Right.
And we're in Sarnia, you're basically beachside.
Absolutely.
Right? There's beach. We're so blessed with the water that we have here.
Yeah.
So anything water related, that's my passion.
That's your thing. Okay.
That's it. We go on vacation and it's snorkeling. It's
okay.
Yeah,
you're in the water.
We're not going skiing.
no, for sure. And do you get much opportunity to get out, or is it?
We try again. That's where trying to have that normal schedule, having weekends off, that kind of stuff, and we try for sure.
Good. Yeah, I was actually kayaking through your marina the other day, and there's only one boat in the water. I don't imagine it was yours, but are you? Did you just come out not too long ago?
In the boat.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, so you might still be. All right, perfect. All right, so you're still in the water.
No, it's out now.
Oh, it's out now. Okay.
It came out yesterday.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's always a sad time of year.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine. Yeah, for sure. So obviously supporting local is important to you, and you rely on people supporting local for your livelihood.
Absolutely.
So are there any businesses you find yourself kind of frequenting on a regular basis as a couple or as a family that?
Yeah, of course. Our lovely grocery stores we have here. We have quite a selection of different grocery stores to go to. But for me, it's Home Depot and Lowe's.
There you go.
And of course, I do a show in Williams, so I'm there quite often.
Okay. Yeah.
My wife, she likes the decorating kind of stores
Yeah,
and that. So we're all over the place here.
All over the place. So just keeping local as much as you can.
And we just did renovations in our own place, so we of course we bought all our stuff local and new flooring and such, and great experiences with everybody.
Awesome. Are you going to be posting your before and afters for your own place anytime?
It'll be coming, yes.
It'll be coming, okay, not quite done.
Almost done.
Almost done. Well, you just have to take some holidays so you can finish up the work at your place. So that's awesome. Now, besides finding you on lovesarnielampton.ca, where's the best place for people to find you?
Well, I do have a website.
Okay.
So that's BeachSide Painting.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well, and I'm on Yelp and I'm on Google. I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Pretty much anything that's a social media site, I'm down.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you do a great job of posting. And I would say, especially for somebody in the trades, I find a lot of people don't really realize how important it really is, and I think it's
important. Right?
Yeah.
And I was telling you a story before we started this, where I had a client that I was painting their home, and they found me on Facebook. And that's really the only place now that you can really show what you can do.
Right.
Unless you have a referral from one of your past clients. And very happy with the job and everything else, but he actually said on the side, he goes, we were actually nervous initially because we didn't know you.
Right.
And that's some of the things you got to go over and try and break down somewhat. But it's unfortunately, that's really the only media we have beyond actual having clients.
Yeah,
recommendations.
And you see people a lot of times they'll just recommend their friend or they'll recommend, and so you have to be careful, and so it's that's part of the reason we want to do this is so people can kind of get to know you, like I say, put a face to the name, and also firsthand experience. We have. We can give you referrals because everybody we've talked to has been super pleased with it. So, we really appreciate everything you've done for us.
And that's why we do, when we do an estimate, it's a free estimate. So that is your meet and greet, and you kind of get a feel for people that way. And that's why it's always a free, no obligation, just whatever you're looking for, we'll do it for you.
Awesome, yeah, and I can attest that too. That nobody's ever felt pressure. No. To be honest, I mean, your estimates, I think for the most part, I think once you've done estimates for people for us, they've just said, okay, done. Like I don't think they've even looked elsewhere, which is huge because it just shows that you're not just out to make a buck. You're being honest and you care what you're doing. So Dave, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today. And guys, if you're looking for a painter, and I know you are because I see it all the time. I constantly see posts. Can you recommend a painter? And actually, I saw one just the other day for refinishing cabinetry. Dave's your guy. He does a phenomenal job, and he's a busy man, but he'll book you accordingly. And he's already told us he sticks to his time frame, which is so important. So if you're looking for somebody, check Dave out, Beachside Interiors, and again, he is on social media. But his website is beachsidepainting.ca. Excellent. If you have any questions about real estate or you'd like to just chat about what's happening in the market, get in touch with us at hometeamadvantage.ca, or you can call us at 519-331-5552. Again, thanks for watching today, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode of Love Sarnia Lambton. Thanks again, Dave.
All right, that was perfect. Thank you.